Let's play. Well, it ain't that easy. I know I want to do the weather first. Okay, that's fine. But I don't know what turn to start on. Scenarios based very closely with all units shown in approximate position they occupied in the morning of June 30th. Here we go. Scenario starts at 5:30 a.m. turn. All right. We don't have a turn marker either. That's okay. We got these excess counters. Gotta be careful, because one of them's a supply wagon that I'm gonna need. So let's put that there. Okay. And weather is not in my administrative sequence because it's an optional rule. So let's go back to how that starts. On the first turn of the game day, 4 a.m., place the weather marker front side up, clear weather marked with an asterisk. We're assuming it's normal weather. Let's roll a die and see what June 30th looks like. It's a 10, no change. Awesome. Now, wait, is that done? Wait, no. If any of the previous days were rain, the weather marker starts in the overcast instead. Then during the weather segment, okay, there should be a weather segment. It's at the end. Well, that's okay, because we had a 4 a.m. turn. Okay. Yeah, we're fine. If current weather is clear, and if it's these particular game turns. So this is kind of the weird thing, but we got little weather markers on the game turn track to remind us. If we don't notice them, that's going to suck, but you know, we'll be referring to the weather rule probably pretty often. And no, it's right here, and it's all there. That puts us in the administrative phase. We don't need the tactical map, so we can keep all the rules and everything here. I got this huge amount of table taken up by this board, and it's just playing on this double blind for now. For now. All right. How do we go? Army command points. The Army commanders and wing commanders roll for their points. All right. We're not going to get very far in the turn before I go down and play some raid, but I want to try to get some feel for what we're doing. So here's the command point table. We have Meade. Die roll for the Army commander. I believe he's a 3. Pretty decent, actually. Yep. So let's see what we get for him. And we roll 2 dice, add 3. We get a 21. Wow, this goes really, really high. I guess because of the CCP, which can have points directed to it. I guess. 21, that's going to give me 5 command points for Meade. All right. Let's stick with the Union for this. What about command range? What is that like? That's a good question. If I'm on the ops map, it's 24 movement points. That sounds like a lot, right? On the tactical map, it's only 16. Where's the movement point cost? Just sounds like a hell of a lot. But hexes are expensive. Okay. So primary roads and secondary roads and trails on the operational map. How are we going to tell the difference? This is primary road. Trying to see the difference between secondary roads and trails on here. The trails are going to be these little dashed lines, and the secondary roads is going to be this. So 24 movement points, and we look and see that primary roads are going to cost either 2 or 4, secondaries 3 or 6, probably not going to hit any trails. So at 24 movement points from Meade, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that turns into a secondary there. What was it, 3, 6? We're out in the external, so 6, 12. Yeah, we're not talking about a lot of distance here that he can commit his points to. So what do I want to do with Meade? Well, I have a unit, the 5th Corps, that is in pretty good shape. Who's 5th Corps? 5th Corps Sykes. I don't recall any special rules about Sykes to make him less effective. I think I want to give Sykes some points. Okay. Let's commit some... I see no reason not to get myself onto the tactical map with Sykes. Grab myself Cemetery Hill early, whatever, you know. Looks like a good choice, or maybe Little Round Top, I don't know. So, we look for the command rules. Where are we? Where are we? Where's the bloated version? There's like 2 sequence of plays. All right. What's my Ooh. A lot of rules here. A lot of charts. Let's take a look. Army command point expenditures. If I want to spend subordinates command points, I get a +2 DRM per ACP spent. +1 DRM for free if stacked with adjacent. +1 spent for arriving reinforcements. I don't have any arriving reinforcements. Pre-planning, I'm not ready. Why don't I give Sykes a couple of points for his role? Now, see, this is kind of weird because normally I would do the command point segment and then the core command point segment. That's what the sequence kind of does. But it doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I just rolled these. There's nothing I can really do in the administrative command points phase except what? Purchase pre-planning points. I don't think I want to do that. Purchase bombardment command points. No. Modify game turn initiative, maybe. Move the actual army leaders, yeah. Modify impulse control die rolls, probably not. Reactivate a commander, yeah. If somebody ends up falling out of command, becoming inactive, I might want to do that. Modify availability, etc. That's probably not going to happen here. That's something that happens more on the tactical map. There aren't any Union reinforcements that I need to roll for or anything. So, I'll go to the core phase. I'll deal with the Confederates in a bit. I'll go to the core phase. I'm going to spend 2 points on Sykes. Psych! Because I want to get him moving. So that means I get +4. He's not adjacent to Meade. And he gets a grand total of 8, which gives him 1 command point. All right. Best laid plans and all. Huh. I don't really feel like there's anyone else I want to do anything with, although I kind of want to give them command points to rest. Like, if they don't have command points, they just stay in what they're in, which is encamped, which is not resting. So maybe I want to fire off some to get guys resting. Let's see who's, so within our range, can we get to sickles here? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. That's not bad. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. Can't get to Hancock. But we can get to Sickles and Slocum, which is 3rd and 12th. Let's see what those look like. 3rd and 12th. They both need to rest. I'm going to spend a point on each of them. So, which one was I going to do first? Let's do Sickles first. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot that Sykes has 2 more points. So instead of an 8, he actually would have been at 10. He's at 2 points. I forgot. He does get his command points in there too. So now we're at 2, 4 for Sickles, +4 for Sickles, which gets us to 13. Sickles is going to get 3 points. Sickles is 3rd Corps. All right. Who else were we going to give to? We were going to give to Slocum. We didn't spend yet. That's 2, 3, 4 again. Yeah. 4 again. And that's going to get us to 15, which will get him to 3. That's 12th Corps. See, I remember the leader's name, but the leader's not written on here. I got another point. I don't think I can reach any of my Cav guys like Beaufort. Can I get to Reynolds? Reynolds has his own points. He is a wing commander. I should be rolling for him, right? He does not have a marker. Huh. Gonna have to look up wing commanders. It's trying to find a face in here. I've got like a facial recognition thing, which I kind of like because when I zoom in on a counter, it does it. And then it focuses on that face. But that kind of focus I have to do manually otherwise. Yeah, I don't know how the wing commander is going to work, so I'm going to go to that. You can see I'm struggling to get the flow of the game. And I feel like it's important to show that in every game that I play. This is such a different system that I kind of feel like, yeah, I want to expose, that. And later on, A, it'll become easier for me, and B, there's just no reason to keep going through this same mechanism. I can just come up in the command points and tell you where things are seated and why. It leads me to realize something right away. I've screwed up. I didn't look at the rule, but I remember this. Meade has a penalty because he has Reynolds on the map. So where is that? I think it's going to be under commanders or something. Let's look at page 17. Is that going to tell me? No. I don't remember. I don't have an index, unfortunately. I don't remember where this was that we had combat. That doesn't... I don't think it's here. All right, I'll be back. Okay. Meade gets a -2 to his roll. Now I had a 5. I'm going to drop him one more because I think that's what the -2 would give me on that die roll. So the AOP is done. I'll put it up here. And I've used all my points for it. But how does Reynolds work? Somewhat of a cross between Corps and Army leaders. They have the same command radius, but generate and spend ACPs like an Army commander. Oh. Reduces the amount of ACPs rolled by Meade by 2 each turn. I think Reynolds gets a reduced amount, though, too. Like, otherwise, he's just too powerful. To appoint a wing commander costs Meade this. Oh, second wing commander also reduces. Like, it sounds to me like wing commander is just, like, are just super bonused. Whereas I think he should have a -2 as well for being less. I don't know about this. Like, yeah, again, why is it that changing my wing structure by splitting my forces up more is going to cost me in the victory level, especially on the operational game, where I have supposedly a capability to operate all over the map? It just feels weird to have that as part of the game. But it also feels very weird that my command point modifier, that I don't have a modifier for Reynolds. As such, Reynolds functions as an Army commander, including having the Army commander's range and reduced self-reactivation cost. He also has command of any other Union forces. But this is because he's the only person on the tactical board, which there are no real roles for, right? Like, I think Reynolds gets however many he wants, but I have no, because the game is designed for the tactical game, and again, I kind of feel like the operational game, the reason for this game, has been given a certain short shrift in a lot of ways. There's no counter to track Reynolds. Now, I've got something I can use. I can use Reynolds here for his points, and I'll do that. So let's see what he gets. I'm going to give him a -2. I actually think it might maybe be supposed to be worse, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to be able to have a wing commander. Like, I'm getting penalized for having a wing commander. If I had the wing commander near me, I would get 2 rolls on the chart. There's no reason for me to ever replace Reynolds. That's for sure. Yeah. So let's just give Reynolds a +2 on the roll because he is the wing commander. It's not covered by the game, but I feel like I need to reduce his capability. 15. He's going to get 3 command points for that. Now he has his own forces near him. Can he reach Beaufort? I doubt it. But this is a major road to here. We're in the inner, so it's 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 to here. Glad I have all this space, right? Ops map, secondary road. Looks like it's 3 after that. So we were 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So Beaufort and Merritt. Now again, I don't have a thing for Merritt either. But Merritt's not allowed to accumulate. I want to give points to Doubleday, Howard, and Beaufort. So I'll spend 1 for Beaufort. I'll leave Merritt where he is. I got special rules for Merritt, so I'm going to have to look those up. So I kind of don't want to. I don't want to assign him points because I think he's stuck where he is. But Beaufort is not, and Beaufort is a 4 at +2 is 6. Gets him 10. Beaufort's going to have 2 points. Who's the Cav Corps? He's not the whole Cav Corps. Well, this is weird because I also have Kilpatrick back here. Who's my Cav commander? Wow. So this is messed up because I don't have a Cav Corps. Now, what did I get here? I got a roll of 4 and 6 is 10. I'm going to give Beaufort 2, and I'll mark it with the Cav Corps marker. Where did I put that? Oh. I'll give him 2, but I don't actually have a Cav Corps commander for the Union. And this is, again, it's messed up because I have 2 Cav divisions. I don't have a Cav Corps commander on the board at all, which is problematic. Now, all of this kind of has to be done in balance, and this is where it's hard to get a grip on the game. Okay, I'm recording these points for the Corps. That's fine. But what I'm basically going to be doing is at the same time or in very close conjunction, and this is hard for me because I have to take a break very soon. I'm going to be designating my ops move, but I'm also going to be spending those core points to do things, to put chits in the cup, to give myself commands and whatnot, to drop into, I think it's R&R I need to do to get rid of these, which is something that I need to do outside of what I'm doing right now, which is just being encamped. So, yeah. Let me get the points for the next 2 commanders, and then I think I break. This has got to get easier for me, but whatever. So Howard is 11th. He's going to be at +4. So 11th is going to get 4. and be very, very active in terms of being able to rest, because they definitely need to rest. They're in bad shape. And then I've got Doubleday under there, which is first corps, which also needs to rest. I might be able to bring them in kind of early. I don't know how good Doubleday is. I think he's a 3. Yeah. So he's going to be a +5 to the die roll. And not very happy. He only gets 1 point because Reynolds is too busy right now. Okay. That leaves me the 2nd and 6th Corps unrolled, and Kilpatrick unrolled. I don't know what to do about Kilpatrick yet. And Merritt. Okay. Let's look for these. Where's 2nd Corps? 2nd Corps is back here. That's going to be Hancock. He's at a +4 on his own initiative. It's possible he could roll really shitty, but he doesn't. He gets a 17, which is going to give him 4 commands. And 6th, it's got to be Sedgwick here, at +3. Whoa! Which gives him 6 commands. It's not very easy to go inactive. Not very easy. Of course, there might be penalties that make you more likely to go on inactive, but most of the penalties, I think, don't. They just drop you. Now, Buford actually has less points, doesn't he, than I gave him? I'm not sure. Yeah, I got a problem here, which is that I've got individual division commanders in the case of Buford, Kilpatrick, and Merritt, who do not get as many points as I gave them. So let's look for where that is discussed. That's not going to be discussed here. Independent leaders are operating under specific, cannot become they get a -3 to their DRM. But he's not really independent. I gave him points. Fuck me. All right, I don't know. So I'm at a 0 for Merritt. Let's just leave Buford where he is. I'm at a 0 for Merritt, who gets 10. He's going to get 2 points. How do I represent those 2 points? I don't know. I don't know. I'm out of counters to represent anything. Do I have a Merritt? You know what I could use? I don't have a Merritt. I'm going to give Merritt one of these cohesion hit markers, just to remind me he has 2 points for the temporary situation. That's not going to stay on the map. Normally, maybe you wouldn't need that. And then I can use Buford. Well, I can use Buford instead of the Cav, which I have to find. There's Buford. We'll put him here. These are points he's not allowed to keep, so it's not a big deal that he doesn't have them. I don't know why I have a Cav Corps, because I kind of don't have one. Like, I don't have a leader for that. And then Greg. Where's Greg? Greg's down here. He's at a 3, but he goes down to a 0 because he's an independent commander. With a 6, that's going to give me that. Okay, that was a natural 6. He would go inactive, but he doesn't. The reason he doesn't go inactive is because he's an independent commander. And I don't think Cav commanders go inactive anyway. And then Kilpatrick, who's actually a -1. But Greg doesn't get any points. He's not going to be able to leave his encampment. And then here we have an 8. Kilpatrick will be at a 1. And that kind of shows you what I'm up to. I'm going to pause. This is a big part of the game in terms of like where the game is very different is generating these points and then expending them. And I want to make sure that I don't fuck this up completely. And I got to do some raid. I think I got to take a dump. Shit like that. Well, here we are, I think. I say, because sometimes it gets confusing to me. I'm pretty sure I'm here on Friday morning, in the very early hours. Done with my raid. You could ask, well, why didn't you come up earlier? Whatever. I woke up a little earlier today and ended up actually getting some shit done. I had run out of vodka, or almost run out of vodka, and that required a couple hours of walk to get. I also stopped to get the little rubber thing for the glasses here, and I swear I got it at this store last year or so, but they didn't have them this year. Right? Spent much of their staff's time looking for, like they were looking for, and offering me all kinds of other things that weren't appropriate. And also grabbed a couple of pieces of some spices, basically, as well. And that extra time, along with a little bit of a nap and sitting outside having a beer to cool down after all that and whatnot, ate up my time. So where are we in the game? Because we're moving really, really slowly through this command phase, right? I've started with the Union command phase, and I want to go through theirs entirely, then I'll do the Confederate one. But I've gotten everybody rolled up, all the different corps rolled up. I'm still not sure why I have a Cav Corps. Army of Potomac has used up all their points. And this makes it more difficult because I got to figure out what else I do at this point. And I knew that before, but now I've lost track. I know somewhere in this administrative phase, I designate op moves, but I also know that this is where I actually spend my command points. I think it's in the core command point segment to generate orders. And now I'm like, look, there's a lot of roles, man. There really are. I look at the different orders to think about what I may or may not want to do. And do we have a list of them somewhere? I mean, we got them in here. We got the expenditure here. We got the command. Here we go. We got a section on orders here, which gives me the costs. So what I need to do, and again, it's, I need to look up what is the order that I believe it's the rest and recovery. That is what I need to do here, because I'm not going to see it here. It's because I have these divisional marks off. And I hope my plastic, bugger. This used to happen with these before. See, the underlying thing slides a little bit. It's not much. I can fix it, of course, but it starts getting out of whack. Okay. So if I want to do rest and reorganization, it's 1 per turn to place, flip, or remove. If still an R&R at the end of the turn, yeah. So let's look up how those work, because most of my corps are just going to do this. At the cost of 1, place one of the divisions in the R&R. The other is placed in the URAC. At the end of the impulse, why is it placed in the URAC? Ah, in case I want to move it. Yeah, so at a cost of an extra. So I think what I'm going to do, and this is by division, is I'm going to look at my core. And let's take one in particular. We'll ignore, what is it, the fifth core, which actually is active. Let's take a look at the first core. I've got all three divisions need to be handled. First core is going to be Doubleday over here. And I've got three divisions, each of which I'd like to put in there, but I have to find the core first. First core only has one. I can only shift one unit into an R&R. This is why I need command points, right? Because it costs no CCPs to leave it face down and subsequent to game turn. So after they slip into their R&R, they will continue for free, but right now I can only expend one. So which division is in the worst shape? I gotta fix this. It's either the first or third. I don't really care which. So I will put the third division here into the R&R box. Now, I believe I get somebody in the URAC for free, right? When I do that. Leave the DAC in the R&R face up. No, this is the end of the impulse. At the cost of one, place one division stack in the R&R box, and the other is in the URAC or at extra cost. So that was the third division I gave that to. I put one in there. The first division and second division just show up in the URAC because you get that for free no matter what. But do I necessarily want to move them? I don't know. Maybe get them on the map earlier or whatnot. Although they are kind of chewed up, so maybe I don't. All right. Let's see a division with a lot of points. Core with a lot of points. Sixth core has a lot of points. Sixth core is sitting here with all three divisions in place. So what I can do there is I find the sixth core. It's hard to see. Okay. And I will spend 1, 2. There's really not enough room in these for my taste. 3, and I'll spend the other 3 to put these in the direct command. Instead, what I could have done, this first core, they got moved. What I could have done was buy additional things that go in the URAC, but remember, if you start marching too much, you end up overdoing. You end up pushing your force too hard, and it starts collecting up more demoralization factors, which is exactly what I don't want to do. So that's the first and sixth core. Now let's take a look at the fifth core. The fifth core is happy, fine, and good. And what I'd like to do with them is put them into March. They put their first DAC at no cost in CCPs in the March orders on the order sheet. Huh, seriously? Okay. So let's see how many points I have for the fifth core. I only have 2 points for the fifth core. What do I want to do with those points? I can hold on to them. CCPs can be held on to. You lose a third of them each turn, but if I don't have anything to do with it, well, why not? So let's take a look. Let's see. March orders is 0, move during op movement. I could buy additional movements for him, but I don't particularly want to. So we were talking about 5th Corps, which should be next to... See, ideally, I would have boxes big enough to see all the units in that box. Especially since some of these boxes can hold 2 counters in them. Things like build, I think, might hold 2 counters in them. I'm not sure. But again, it's just, you kind of wish you have enough display space. Now, if it weren't for the fact that, like, these, which maybe you're supposed to cut, and maybe you're supposed to cut this, I don't know, you know, it would be, that extra space would be useful to increase the size of these boxes and then maybe make another sheet for the general stuff, the turn record track and the reorg, and maybe you could even put Stuart's arrival on there. Although I don't know. See, I don't know. I haven't figured out yet if Stuart's information, I think it's hidden I think it's trackable information, which means it really should be in the open. Okay. I will continue with the rest of them after I pee. Figured I'd do the rest looking across here. Well, one of the things of interest beyond recovering my units, I have 2 Cav units, Beaufort and Kilpatrick, on the board right now. Where's Greg? I have Greg on the board too. Okay. One of the things of interest is Stuart. And this is me just, you know, drawing out of my memory. Trying to figure out, hey, what things do I want to cope with out of potential problems? Well, if Stuart comes on early, that could be a problem. And I can kind of block off his hexes, if I recall correctly. So, we look at the other rule book for the Jeb Stuart rules. And now, if he comes in, if the location is within 2 outer, 3 inner zone road hexes of a Union unit of any type. Okay, where's the Stuart table? I get the feeling it would be towards the end. There we go. All right. So let's start looking at places Stuart could come in. 1733. First of all, he's currently at the 0 rating, okay? So I should be considering him more in this rating. York is 2846. Like, I have some idea where he is. That's going to be up here, okay? And what's near York? Abbottstown, which is 2842. That's going to be, he pops up over here. That's interesting. Like, he just appears in places, like he might slip by me if I'm not careful. So that's Abbottstown. New Oxford is 2739. So I probably want to get somebody up around there. Hanover, 3442. Manchester, 4543. Okay, that's getting far away. That's down here. So I think what I want to do is get Kilpatrick to get up into this general area looking for Stuart. All right, well, I have a point for Kilpatrick, so I'm going to put him in march mode as well and get him up there as soon as possible. But I want to worry about other things, right? So we were already down Hanover, Manchester. Okay, Hanover, Manchester's down here. Littlestown, 4439. That's going to be pretty much where Kilpatrick is. So I think I'll move Greg into that general area. Did I not roll for Greg? I think I failed to roll for Greg. Or maybe he got a 0. Okay. Buford. Buford's an interesting question. Now I have 2 points with Buford. He is an independent division, so I'm not allowed to hold points on him. I'm going to just put 1 point into here. My goal probably is to move into here. I don't think it is possible that Stuart comes in on the Sharpsburg Road, which they say 5208 is where it is, which is down here. Like he reverses and goes and joins the other guys, which, yeah, I think that's fairly unlikely. And now, here's the thing. I'm really not worried about the Confederates moving onto the map. In fact, I think they could win the game by not moving into the Gettysburg area at all. But, yeah, I don't know. Do I want to go look for Stuart down there? Not really. All right, why does Merritt have this marker on him? Because he doesn't have a command card, a command check. How do I represent him? Okay, I'll tell you how. That is these guys. So I gave the wrong thing to Merritt. I should have an A on him. And I should have this in the 2 box. Which means Merritt I can send down to look after Stuart. And again, I'm not going to spend I'm not going to fatigue him looking for him. It's just to give an idea there. Did I put 5th Corps in? All right. Yeah, I'm going to... I think I've taken care of the things that I can take care of with the Cav. Everyone else is just going to be spending their points on rest and relaxation, probably banking the rest. Who had no points to spend does get to do something still. Now let's take a look at the march. Yeah, it costs no cost in DAC. So I don't know. He gets as much action as the other commanders did as well. So I guess no big deal there. What else am I looking at here? I don't think much. We're just going to end up with a huge pile in here, though. This is what we're looking at. There's some commanders who are keeping points. He's an army commander. Why is he keeping his points? I don't think he can do the delayed points, the PPPs or whatever, pre-planning points. Maybe he can, sure. But would it make sense to give some? Who's in better shape here? 1st or 11th? 1st or 11th? Definitely the 1st Corps. So let's say I spent some pre-planning points on the 11th Corps. I don't think again, I don't know. Can he spend on generalized initiative? But is it worth it? I got the wrong book here. So pre-planning points, well, we got them here. Army command points, postponement, no. Pre-planning points. Allows extra CCP. All right. How far in advance do I want to put those PPPs? Yeah, that's a good question. I got like 14 marks to clean off. Okay, 14 marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We will start him off on July 1st at, I don't know, do we want to start him at 4 in the morning? Why not? I mean, seriously. Yeah, so the way I'll mark that down is one core. I don't know how to mark this. Like day 1, we're calling this day 0. But yeah, I can't write on this. This is the problem. Maybe I'll do pre-planning on a different sheet of paper. One of the problems is my pencil. I tried sharpening it, and now I don't know. I've removed enough already. It's really like I really don't know how I'm supposed to peel these things, not being an artist who was trained in that kind of thing. Although I had some, and I remember being able to get at them, but I think I had a little knife. I mean, I tried using a knife, and like I tried using a little kitchen knife that I have, and it really didn't do the job that I wanted to. So here's what I've got. Oh, unfortunately, I wrote in pen the points, which I shouldn't have. I mean, I can cross out and just keep adding, but this is going to accumulate over the course of time pretty quickly. I'll probably end up giving some points to 11th Corps as well, but I want to give the jump to the 1st Corps. So I've got the Corps marked here, what time it's due to arrive, and how many points they have. And those are, you don't want to give too many, okay? Because in the you can give them tons, but it's gonna just be a roll on here with a modifier of twice as many CPs spent, Army Command points spent. So, well, no, pre-planning points coming in arrive at the current. They get a separate command point roll with a plus DRM from their number. So yeah, so I'd be making a roll at +2. I don't think the leader gives any DRM there. I think it's just the PPPs that get added. So you probably want a fair amount if you want to be able to get a lot of CCPs off of it. But again, I'm not sure I want to give a whole shitload of them all on one turn. And part of the reason I'm waiting so long is, look, it's going to take me the whole day to recover, more or less. I might as well just recover instead of like, committing the 1st Corps in there. But we might find that we want to get them moving, depending on what we find when Beaufort, for example, goes walking into Gettysburg. All right. I think I'm done with the Union command phase. Famous last words. Army command points this, operational movement designation. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the orders situation. Stuart location, we haven't gotten there yet, which means I'm going to go and do the same kind of thing with the Confederates. But the key determining factor for the rebels is each full daylight game turn. We're not in a full daylight game turn. This is a low light turn, I believe. That they spend in encamped formation with its DAC face down in the R&R orders box, and its divisional morale at its maximum possible generates 1 victory point. Well, we're going to do that. Imboden's and Jenkins's Cav brigades each generate 3. I think that's all my units. I think all the Confederate units are just going to sit around here gathering up resources, which is probably what they historically did, since they haven't made it into Gettysburg yet. However, the Union's going to make it on the board significantly. Well, maybe not. It looks like it takes them a whole day. And, you know, I don't mind if the Confederates spend the whole first day encamped doing nothing. I'm cool with that. That feels like what the game is supposed to do. If I spend 6 days... Oh, wait, is it June 29th? I thought it starts on June 30th, but it looks like it starts on June 29th. I've got a space for that. Uh-oh! The operational game. Puts the players into the boots of Lee and Meade on the morning of June 30th. I'm going to start on June 30th because I think that's what it's supposed to be. I don't know why that track goes June 29th, but I'm going to just assume that's an oopsie. I'm pretty sure the Union wasn't in the area. We can look at the... Well, to see in the historical notes. I'll look in the historical notes. I'll be back in a bit. So this is a little troubling. On June 29th, the Army of the Potomac would put in what was perhaps its finest overall marching performance of the war after taking a day to get adjusted. Meade pushed the entire army forward from 25 to 30 miles in order to get into position to intercept Lee. The wear and tear on the troops was considerable, and for the most part, Meade's orders for the 30th were much more modest adjustments to the Corps' positions in order to rest the troops for the battle sure to be coming. The one exception to this was the 5th Corps, which was held up for most of the 29th by delays caused by the 2nd and especially 3rd Corps ahead on the road, which makes it sound like the 5th Corps is in the worst shape. And here they say, with the exception of the 5th Corps and all cavalry and artillery reserve, all Union divisions start the scenario with their divisional morale at or near the shaken point. The historical explanation seems completely at odds with what the rule is saying. The rule is basically, unless I'm misreading the rule, right, in some way, but the rule seems to say they do not, the cavalry and the 5th Corps do not start with any penalties. But the little historical commentary seems to indicate that the 5th Corps might not start with any penalties, but it isn't there yet. Now, they are way back here, and honestly, they have a hard time getting anywhere. Because you can't march through friendly units, or enemy units for that matter, on the operational map. So I might have to make this weird diversion, which isn't going to get me where I want to go. Wow. All right, I could cut this way. Yeah, I'm really trapped. Well, that's all very interesting. So unless I push some units forward, I mean, I could conceivably swing around this way with the 5th Corps, up to where Buford is. Well, we'll see what happens. So the 5th Corps, for whatever reason, is really, really fresh, but is also blocked off from moving by the actuality of the map. You know, I mean, I can do stuff, right? Like I could move around up here, but I can't get through, like, 12th Corps, 3rd Corps, they're in my way. There's stuff in my way everywhere, which seems to actually match what this is saying, but also they're like not penalized. You know, I don't understand that at all. Like, to me, maybe they get there late or something, but or it didn't work as hard. But it seems really, really fucking weird. Anyway, they were held back. I don't know what that means. But here on this day, they're in place They just don't have an easy route. But if Merritt goes and does something down here, now Merritt has special rules, doesn't he? Oh, fuck. Merritt's Cavalry Brigade doesn't have a number, just has an asterisk. Fuck. Huey has to be detached and posted. Once posted, neither Huey nor Merritt can move more than 2 from their assigned spot. Okay, but it's not 12 noon on June 30th, so I could actually move Merritt. And I don't know what happens. Like, then does he have to move back? Or is his assigned space wherever I put him? I'm going to go with the latter, I think, because I want to be able to cover this possibility. Right? I don't know. I really don't know. We're not necessarily getting the historical Gettysburg here. We're getting a Gettysburg. All right. This is why the videos go so long, right? And now I do not have a good place to move my teacup to. But I've got to figure out the same kind of thing, roll up the points for the rebels, but I don't think they're going to do a damn thing. I'm not allowed to move my cav. They're actually forbidden from moving. And they produce 3 points each per turn. Wow. I do need my points because I need to be able to put them in the R&R box. Lee got a crappy roll. He did get a point, which he spent on his worst leader, A.P. Hill. Hill then got himself a massive roll and has like 5 points, whereas the better leaders, Ewell and Longstreet, ended up somewhat lower. Now that's okay, because, for example, for Longstreet, I put 3 in the R&R and 3 in the cup. No, I don't. Hood's in the front. I put 2 in the R&R and 1 in the cup. And 3 in the cup. Because you always get 1 for free in the cup. Spending all his points. Second Corps, I'll put everybody in. Both. Spending all his points. Third Corps, well, I'll save points. I've got kind of an issue. Sorry, Second Corps is the issue. Second Corps is spread out. Third Corps, fuck. Let me get Second Corps back. Let me fix this. So, what's our command range again? Command range for a Corps commander is 18 movement points. And, okay, I got primary road coming from here. So, primary road is like 2 each, I think. Maybe 3 on the big map. Yeah, it's 1, 2. Where is it? Where is it? This is TAC map. Primary ops is 4 each. But, yeah, it's leaders. They're fine. Same thing. So 4 each. So here, 1, 2, 3, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 16. I actually can't give orders to anyone except Johnson. Everyone else is too far apart. Johnson is this one, so he will go in the R&R. The other 2 units, I can't give them orders. but that means that they're independent units. Right? I'm not sure. I know that like Merritt is independent, right? And he's the only one that I had to deal with. And well, actually all the Cav leaders are independent, but Merritt's further than independent. He's actually a brigade called out of a division, basically, who's on his own little special goal, which is why he doesn't even have a divisional command marker. He just has a letter. But these guys, I'm not sure they're designated as independent, which means I don't know what it means. I think what it means is that they're out of command and they have to work their way back to Ewell, to tell you the truth. And is Heath actually in command? So 4, 8, 12, 16. Heath is also not in good shape. Well, I didn't put him on the board yet, so that's good. I haven't spent the 3rd Corps. But yeah, he's also too far away from his command for command points to be spent. Which again, is he on his own? So as far as I can tell, they're just unable to be spent for. They are not independent units. I don't see any indication of that. So what are we looking at here? Early and Rhodes. Don't go in there because I don't have a point for them. They go there. Now, that was 2nd Corps. I put one in, so he gets to spend one. I don't want to do more than that because I want to get the advantage. But what it may end up meaning is that I pull my corps together if those units are active, but they may end up inactive and unable to move. That's going to restrict the amount of points that I'm allowed to collect up in terms of victory points. So 2 of those divisions are going to have to, either move or they're not going to be able to get that command action. And then a 3rd one over here with Heath is also out of range. Now, I'll spend 2 and put both Anderson and Pender in there. But again, Heath goes in here. And now the question, of course, is, do I want to fall back with Heath or, to collect up victory points or push into Gettysburg? I don't know. But he's in the cup. And I think that I have spent all of the Confederate points at this point. Let's look what that means. Stuart location segment. All right, let's read the rules for that. Right. The Union player rolls 2 dice modified by the DRM of the box. We're not in July, so we don't get a modifier. So we get a 6. The modifier is a 0. All that means is we look for the Stuart table. And we're not even using the battlefield, right? A roll of 6 total says Mount Vernon, 5231. Okay, let's look around 5231. 5231. Yeah, he found a lot of shit there. It is within 2 outer, 3 inner zone hexes of a Union unit. Yeah. So he has detoured in order to save his wagon. Move the Stuart counter down 1 space on the track. Boop. Okay. In the future, all locations below the one just rolled on the Stuart chart are considered to be no contact reroll. So everything below a 6, I'm going to need another chart, or do I have Stuart? I can put a little, I think I can write a 6 there. I can keep one number. The pre-planning, I was trying to fit it into a box and everything, and that was just going to be hard. So I can get one number in there to remind me that he can't come in on any of the boxes lower than that, which includes Sharpsburg Road. So he's just hit this and said, oh, I got to go up this way. Do I know this? Who knows this if I do? I think I have to, because the Union has to be aware that Stuart tried to come in there. Whether or not the Confederates have to be aware is something different, but each player is rolling one die, and I don't know why that is. So that has happened. It's going to happen when I need the map. Game turn initiative. Each player rolls a die, and the winner gets an action impulse. Now, for this die roll, the commanding generals are allowed to add points. What's the deal with Reynolds? Yeah, I don't know. He probably could too. So initiative goes to the Union, and they're going to get the first action in the action phase. There's not going to be any mass bombardment, so we go to the action impulse segment, and I get to pick one that I want to do. Wow. Is there anything I want to do particularly? Yes. I want to move Merritt. But now I know that Stuart is a hell of a lot less likely to be coming down this way. Yes, there is still the option that he completely gives up, right? I thought there was an option here. On a roll of 10, yeah, to show a slight chance that he comes to his senses and burn the wagons, Confederate rolls one die at the end of every Stuart die roll that does not place him on a roll. Okay. So if I get a 10, Stuart burns the wagons. I do not. So, and this might be hidden, right? But I'm not sure. Now there was another option though where he just gives up, right, and goes back the other way. I gotta find that. Hold on. It's embedded in here. If I roll a natural 2 or 3, I did not. I rolled a 6. So a natural 2 or 3 means Stuart will give up and try to get back all the way back here. I think without the wagons. Right? Maybe not. The next turn, he's placed on the Confederate player's map on the Sharpsburg roll. If this is within 2, he'll appear at Williamsport. So 5208 and 4706 are of interest to block. I might want to do these. 5208 is here. 4706 is here. So I think I'm going to trigger Merritt for an operational movement as the first bonus. Now, I've got a counter somewhere for the initiative. I thought I had it on the board. What? I've got an initiative counter somewhere. Here it is. So there's Union initiative, which I'm going to put as the turn marker, which means I don't know what this does. I'll put this over here for now. And what do I have to do now? I want it to move Merritt. If Merritt's going to move, I trigger him in the operational movement, and we look at how that works. I'm going to put my dice here, and I'm going to pause for the night, probably. It's Friday, almost raid time, and I got like 10 minutes. And I convinced myself, and then after that I go dancing. So I convinced myself, hey, let me slip. I know I've got one movement action in, and I get up here and I realize kind of why I held off in doing it. I kind of want to start everything all at once. Part of my thought was, if I get a move action or two done, I'll get in the pattern of doing it. But the reason I picked up the camera, other than being, hopelessly addicted to speaking and with no one to speak to, although I'll get a chance tonight. I just won't remember it because I'll be drunk off my ass, and also I won't be very sociable because I'll be like wanting to dance too much, and like half my brain will be on, hey, has the music changed and do I want to go dance, and then I just like disappear on people. But yeah, the thing that triggered my choice here of picking up the camera, supposedly, is that I began to realize, wow, there's things that I'm not sure the rules cover very nicely. So here's the thing. Maybe I shouldn't have these counters in these locations yet, because sometimes you put a counter back here to indicate that it's been used. Now, if I'm using more than one counter, i.e. if I've bought extra activities, I have to pay a cost for that in terms of pushing too hard. What's not absolutely clear is when I pay that cost. Do I pay it during the command phase? Or do I pay it when I actually take the action? I think it's the latter. But again, the rules aren't clear on these kind of things. It could be either way. If it's when I take the action, it would be helpful to see what actions I've taken before. Same kind of thing with like an attack order. If you're under an attack order, you pay a greater penalty. But it might be that it's just fine to do it when you purchase the commands, because I think it's actually, it's not whether you use the command or not, it's whether you purchase the command, isn't it? Oh, this is so painful to try to find this, because it's such a different system in so many ways that I don't really know where I'm going to look for something. So like additional activation chits. Each DAC costs 2. They're normally placed however they should be sufficient. The first, yeah, it looks like it's when you buy it. The first additional DAC costs -1 DMF to the division's morale. The second costs -2. Costs are cumulative. I think it happens there. And if we look at the particular commands, let's look for one that has a cost. If the division has a second or third DAC purchased for it, and these are purchased as attack orders, the -1 DMF penalty for the attack orders is in addition to the -1 or 2 DMF penalty for each additional activation. There's got to be a cost to this. Are these related? And again, it's weird to go into this kind of thing, right? Like normally you expect the person playing the game to know the game and everything, but if you're on this one, you probably are used to me. Well, no, sometimes I get people who, yeah, we have -1 DMF at end of impulse. Ouch. That's annoying. So like, it looks to me like purchasing additional counters gives you a cost. Actually using the attack counter causes an extra DMF. Again, I'm not sure how much any of this is intended, right? Like, I may try to paste it together and make it so that it works how I want it to. But it's important that it's end of impulse for the and this is why I feel like all of them should be accumulated as you do them, for the simple fact that the unit is getting tired and could become shaken or broken due to these divisional morale factor losses. Let me swap batteries because I'm on a roll here. The idea of it is tiring me out and should take effect progressively as I do more and more things, from a rational point of view, makes absolute sense. But what about from an ease point of view? From an ease point of view, it would be easiest, and if I'm going to be, so here's the thing. If I draw an attack, here's why. Here's why it has to be. Okay, it doesn't have to be this way, but here's why it has to be this way for the attack chits. An attack chit could be converted to a direct command chit due to being burned. And therefore you never did the attack chit, so you don't get penalized for it. What I was going to say is, look, if I have an attack chit there, I'm committed to doing that. I have to do that. I can't avoid it. Well, there is a way of avoiding it. It involves your opponent burning your chit. Now, that's going to be hard to arrange from your point of view, but you sure don't want to pay for the attack chit if you didn't make the attack order, right? So yeah, I think the only question is, what about the cost for extra chits? Well, the easiest time to look for that happens to be during the command phase when you're actually buying the chits. So I don't have to worry about keeping account of what chits are already used, etc. That also happens to perhaps be the easiest time to remember with the attack chit, because I'm looking on here and I'm looking on this particular chart and I see the -1 DMF at end of impulse here, which I am not going to remember later on when I'm trying to follow the attack rules, because that chart where it has it, and it's not the only place it has it, but everywhere where it has it is related to the choice of the command rather than, I think, the actual usage of the chit. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, I see why the choices were made to charge one at the point of the command decision and one at the time when it's fired off. And it is one that is directly linked to the gameplay and the ease of play, not just to the idea of, yeah, you know, as the unit is moving, it should get tired. The reason that's not that big a deal is, look, you're probably not going to do an attack chit choice or buy extra chits if you're already near the shaken area. If you're going to push yourself over that, you probably aren't really willing to do that. And whenever it would happen, it's going to be, you know, this is such an imprecise, you know, way to deal with things, right? Like, the commander isn't there, geez, if I push the men just a little bit harder, they'll be fine, you know. But eventually you get to this point of, yeah, they're at the breaking point, and I absolutely know exactly where that breaking point is. So that that kind of imprecision makes me feel like, yeah, it shouldn't matter too much if I'm paying the cost a little ahead of time or not, right? Just telling them they're going to have to march harder may be enough to send them over into that shaken area. Anyway. All right. I have probably wasted all my time. And that's okay. Still need to speak more. So the thing that brought me up here, and why I didn't like the thing that brought me up here, and why I felt the need to speak, was, one, I fear I'm going to discover a number of things like that question. Now, that question doesn't apply directly here, but I don't want to get in the habit of putting chits just back here if that's not what I want to do. So I might have needed to mark how many chits have been used by, say, moving them back here flipped over or something like that, just to remind me that those are expended chits that I'm going to have to account for. Like, oh, I did one action. Well, now this is the second action. Do I pay now? That was one consideration. Was those kind of thoughts. Is there another? Not really. Like, the other side was whether or not it makes sense for me to expend the effort to try to move a unit, which would probably take me about 10 minutes, knowing me. And then on Sunday or Monday, whenever I manage to get back and actually play, will I remember all that, right? Will that effort have paid off for anything? And I don't know the answer to that. Like, when I started up the stairs, the thought was, I ought to play at least one unit so that I have that, because on my walk to the bar, I'll be able to play around with my thoughts about the game on that particular, little move or whatever. And it'll help solidify my memories, and I'll be in better shape. But on the other hand, if it doesn't help, there's something different. There's also something different between the first move and every other one has a dice off for initiative. Here it is, midday Sunday. Saturday's always a wipeout for me. Sundays are weird. It's almost always some form of depression, right? Sometimes it's, this incredibly sort of painful type stuff. Sometimes today it's this sort of lethargy where I just want to go to bed and fuck everything, right? And yeah, those are kind of my two choices usually. Every now and then it's not so bad, but Sundays are often the worst day of the week for me. Saturdays I'm just so broken, from the dancing and the drinking. But and it's funny, this week I got a ride home, which may become a more common thing. I seem to have somebody who is willing to give me a lift for now again. But sometimes that makes me feel better. Like last week, I got a ride home and I felt better. But I just was pretty wiped out this time. So I realized something I'm probably doing wrong down here. I was about to move this unit. I don't think I can, because it's a march order, which means it's stuck to the operational movement stuff. So the actuality is that I have to pick one of my other units to do something with. I'm actually not allowed to do these until I get to the, what is the phase here? Operational movement segment. Which means I'm going to just be basically picking a unit. Now, I can pick out of my cup, I can pick out a direct command. It really doesn't make a damn bit of difference. what I'm going to be doing, not this book, then is the rest and reorganization for most of these units. The only exception to that, Fifth Corps has movement orders, right? Yeah, Fifth Corps. Those are the Cav and the Fifth Corps are the two things that I gave movement orders to. So, how is this shit actually dealt with? Is the question. At the end of the impulse, here we go. So the units on R&R will get full movement allowance, and then it's left face up, but I'm going to rotate, I don't know, it doesn't even really help. Okay, I don't know. So let's look for one. Let's see. Sixth Corps is the one that I have chits there for. What I'd like to do is get stuff out of the way of Fifth Corps, which... What about the Artillery Reserve? How come they don't have a chit? Because they move in conjunction with something else, which means Slocum... I'm trying to figure this out. Fuck. Slocum's 12th. And now I've made a mess. Okay, Slocum's 12th would be the unit I want to move first. No, I think I want to move Sickles first. I'm trying to look at the roads and see what they're going to do to me. I think I want to move Sickles first, and he's going to move full movement allowance and stay in there. Now, Sickles is Third Corps. I can't pick him out of the direct command. I don't have the options. Did I have any Third Corps? Yeah, it wouldn't have helped me if I did either. Sixth Corps, unfortunately, is back here. I do not want to pick them. So I pick one of these. Now, I've got some special capabilities because this is the first initiative of the turn, but they don't really apply for much. So I get 1st Division of 12th Corps, which isn't a terrible choice. That's Williams. But because Sickles is in my way, I have to move Williams this way. Now, let's look up my movement allowances. And again, you know, movement allowances, ops. This is going to be infantry and artillery, which will be 12 movement points on the ops map. Bring this here. 12 movement points on the ops map. I'm going to be moving primary road or pike. Huh, they're the same. This is not operational movement, but I'm still able to do road movement, right? Not sure about that. If I'm not, I can't move any of this shit, right? So I better find that out. So here's the deal. I'm allowed to move on the roads, but the 1/3 rate only applies under march orders for being on the pike or primary. So I'm still able to do road movement, just not the road movement that I want to, you know, that I really want to do. So I've got half movement and secondary roads. Okay, first I check. I'm on the inner map here. I may not want to go too far because some of these guys are on the outer map. But on the inner map, does that matter? Yes. No. Ops map. Yeah. On the inner map, These are going to cost 2. Okay, so here's the deal. The ops movement special cost, the march movement, march orders, is only on the tactical map. Okay. So I'm able to move at a cost of 2 each. And that's for both primary, secondary goes to 3. Yeah. So we spread out 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We get our full movement allowance here. Which was 18, 12. Let's go back. So that was 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, I would spread out like this if it was a regular operational movement. But I think I have to be in the same hex for the R&R. I'm not positive about that. Let me look. This is going to take a while to figure out. So I'm going to back away from this. And I know I'm going through a lot of the struggle with the rule books and everything. Again, I feel like that's an important part of the experience in a game of this nature. I have the feeling that in order to R&R, we have to spread out like this. Because here for stacking, except when encamped or deployed for battle, units may never be stacked on the ops map. And we are in neither of those situations. So I think we have to actually spread ourselves out in order to do the R&R, which means we're not going to be able to R&R, over multiple days. But basically what happens is at the end of the first day, these guys combine into an encampment hex. It feels weird. It feels like they probably should move to another encampment and set that up, and that's where they'd be resting. That's the activity for this one unit, the 12th. I put the chip back here. This chip stays there, and it stays face up, which is good because otherwise I'd have just a mess because there's just not enough space to keep track of these. And in fact, with all the units on R&R, is just kind of annoying, is all I have to say. Now, 6th Corps, where were they again? They're back here. They're going to be hard to get out of there, but I have the advantage that they can delay, and 5th Corps can delay. The only question is the ordering of these guys. Now, the next thing we do is we've completed that initiative. That shit's in there to remind me that I get a low cost and it gets to be flipped over and I get to actually start recovering next turn. But now we roll. Now, I could spend army command points. I have none for Lee. Did I leave any? I left none for Meade either. And that's good. Reynolds may have some. Yeah, Reynolds has some. I don't know what the fuck he's going to do with them. There's really not much he can do, but if some situation arises, maybe he'll appoint them. Okay, so the Union got the initiative again. They can choose to go first or force the Confederates to burn one. Oh, as I move these guys, they're behind the line, so I didn't have to say anything to the Confederates. They're nowhere near the line, is basically the issue. Whew. I see no real reason why I'd want to take an action. In fact, I probably shouldn't have taken the first one there. So I will hit the Confederates. And let's see what their options are. Well, all they have are chits in the R&R space and stuff they can't move. And it's... See, this is problematic because they have to stay encamped, but they don't actually want to R&R. Like, I don't care what they're doing. They're just not going to do anything, is basically what it comes to, right? Why did I R&R? I got no good reason. So I get McLaws, 1-1. McLaws is actually in R&R. I think I'm violating things if I leave him in there. I'm going to actually burn him and just say he's going to remain encamped because if I recall correctly, let's make sure, that's what you get the victory points for. Again, I was thinking the R&R, like the encampment, was you'd be in encampment for your R&R, and that does not appear to be the case. I'm not in the op scheme here. Okay, here it goes. In addition to the cav, for each full daylight turn in which an infantry division spends an encamped. So I think actually I didn't want to spend these activities to go into R&R, and I'm just going to pull them out as I go. So I stay encamped there, and I don't know how we're gonna catch all these victory points. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these guys down here to indicate that they are encamped, and then I'll do a count. Okay, the Confederates get the advantage this time. Well, what the hell? We'll force the Union to go. And the Union will pick from the cup, because I do not want 6th Corps going. And I get 1st and 3rd. That's Birney. That's cool. I can move him. He's on the inner map again, which meant 12 movement points at 2 per. So we can spread him out. Looks like he's set up this way. 2, 4, 6, 8, 8, 10, 12. And we'll just spread out that way. And that starts getting me forward. I'm actually on the tactical map now. Well, I'm actually on territory covered by the tactical map. But again, I don't have to call anything out. I'm just floating around in some of these mega hexes right now. All right, that gives you a basic idea. We're going to be finishing that up. I'll come back if there's anything. Like, I might get into a roadblock here very easily. I might end up in a situation. I can't think of anything that happens with the Confederates. They're basically just going to be burning all their units for victory points. They fucked up again, I think. I forgot to roll for activity. There's so much in this game, man. Do I roll for activity in R&R? I assume so. I can't find the rule on activity. There we go. See, it says activity, but I don't think that's actually it. Where's the, like, I know where the chart is on here. That's not what I need to find. I need to find the actual fucking rolls that give me this action. Activate any with or reserve. Pull a DAC from the Urok. Activity roll. Yeah, I had to roll an activity check, but I gotta find that. Here it says activity, but it doesn't. Maybe. I thought the chart was in here. Okay. There's the activity roll. Okay, so let's start with the first unit that I did, which would be Williams here. Now, Williams is the 12th. Did I have any points for 12th? Because he would have been my top choice. So I'm going to actually burn a point to get a bonus on his activity roll. So this is what I should have done. I get the division leader's command rating. That was 3. I spent a CCP for 2 points. That brings me to +5. Half the corps commanders. Was he adjacent? Yes. So that's another 1. So that gets me to 6. This was not a direct command. So I'm at +6 on these 2 dice. So I got 12, 18. I got my full movement allowance, so I was able to do what I wanted. Now let's check. We don't have to worry about the Confederate activity. They didn't do anything, right? They're encamped. Let's check Bernie here. 3rd Corps has no points. He's over here in the space. So he was at 2. He was adjacent to Sickles for 3. He rolled a 12 as 15. He got his full movement allowance. Again, I'm going to be continuing to do that kind of effort, though. This is 112. What the hell? That's what I just pulled. This is 111. Okay, that should be Howard, right? Who's back here. Not a great pull. Howard is pretty much not going to be able to do shit. So I'm not going to spend any points with him because he's stuck behind stuff. But I'm getting some of that traffic jam type stuff. Now, don't even know if I'm going to have room to spread out. I don't think I am. I think I'm too jammed in. So I'm not going to even be able to get into my R&R formation. What's interesting about this, I have to find the R&R again. At the end of the impulse, I leave the DAC face up during the administrative. During the next turn, I have to choose the next. I can leave it face up, allowing it to keep moving. That's what I'm going to have to do. I've already spent the command point to put it in there, but it's not going to be in a position where I get any recovery even next turn because I haven't left my encampment. You've got to be spread out more to rest. Again, I'm not sure I believe that at all. Like, it seems to me the best way to rest would be to be in encampment. But there you have it. It's got a little bit more complicated here because Slocum and whoever's under there, Geary, ended up only getting half movement, but also it didn't matter because they're stuck behind Sickles here. Now I gave him all the artillery to move at the same time. The idea here being try to get some stuff moving so that 5th Corps can get out of the way. But you're going to see the 5th Corps is going to have to get pretty lucky to catch up to the rest, to be able to pass the rest of the units, which was sort of my intention, was to get them on the board early. Instead, I've got like 3rd Corps already drifting on the board. But that's just, I'm just trying to clear these traffic jams. getting some interesting results here with, let's see, second corps got a nice move here. Robinson over here got a nice 1.5 movement. But I noticed something interesting which I forgot, which is that a couple of units of first corps don't have rest orders. Now they really want to rest, but they might get them next turn and whatever, and you know, it's just going to delay when they recover, but it means that I get to move onto the map a little early. So I guess it's okay. I'm going to break for a bit. This is a really, right now it's really fatiguing. It's going to get easier as I get more and more used to the mechanisms of the system, but the whole, especially on the operational map, because I'm having to hunt down, you know, look at these tiny road pathways and figure out, you know, and I've got units crowded together on them. I actually think that the oh shit. The operational maps for the Devil to Pay actually looks better. By not giving me a full hex map, by just representing the road connections on, you know, sort of a point-to-point map, it's just a lot more reasonable. Now, obviously, look, that probably has optional rules that indicate how much you have to, how many movement points you have to pay to get from one space to the next, or maybe you can only move one space or whatever. It's a different operational game, but these maps are hellish. These operational maps. All right, so we'll put a couple of these dice here on the action impulse segment, which is, hey, we roll the dice, see who gets to decide who gets to go and whatnot. Because I'm really tired out. Like, what do I have to do on each thing? I roll a pair of dice. One person gets the action. They direct the other person to do something. The other person picks something out of their cup. If it's the Confederates, nothing happens. Great. Okay. If it's the Union who has to go, though, they pick their thing out of their cup. I have to paw through the units, figure out the modifiers to the activity roll. Think about whether or not I want to spend anything. Reynolds spent for Robinson here, which, this is why it's really weird. Like, I must have gotten shitty rolls for the first corps. But Robinson can spend points to help things along, and he did that. And then I have to see, well, can I move? You know, do the roads allow me to move? Or am I traffic jammed? And I got lucky in this case, which is that this unit went first. If this unit went first, he could still actually slide out. So first corps is going to be able to, no matter what, get on the board on that first turn and park somewhere to recover or whatever. Again, I don't have to do call-outs because that's based on, I believe, this road. Thought it was to Hanover, though. I don't know. But anyway, I'm nowhere near far enough in that I have to call anything out, which means I'm allowed to move around without the Confederates having any idea what I'm doing. At the point where the Union Cup is empty, 6th Corps I still haven't done anything with. They're a little trapped behind. They could do some movements around. We'll see what's up with that. That's going to be hard, though, because Greg is blocking them here, but I can spread out so that I can recover at least. I got enough room that I can do that. You can see 1st Corps and 3rd Corps are both kind of on the map already, so yeah. I've been forcing my opponent to go whenever I win an initiative, either side, but Union is down to just one counter left. Now there's the possibility of burning the enemy's counters. It's not really an issue here. The Confederates aren't moving any of their pieces, so burning their counters actually doesn't matter. But it would be a consideration of, yeah, maybe early on you want to force your opponent to make moves, but you got to make sure that, like, they don't run out before you, because they could end up degrading your orders that way. All right, both cups are empty, all chits are played. Basically, the Confederates had a pile of chits at the end, but I'm just like, I'm not doing anything. Let me just pull them out and figure them out. Because again, I want to keep these here so I can do a quick count of how many commands are spent in encampment. I don't remember what it was. It was like 1 point each or 2 points each. I don't know. It's going to be a ridiculous amount of victory points, which I think means that the Confederates don't want to make it onto the battle map. We'll figure something out because the way the game is written, what's going to happen is the Confederates are going to have a pile of victory points. And then their goal is to avoid battle, because any combat happens can dwarf the victory points that you get for that first, for however many days I'm able to sit in encampments. But it's basically I get a whole bunch of points and the Union gets none whatsoever, and like, look, maybe the Union can win a battle or something here over on the operational map and get some points that way. Maybe directing things that way would be advantageous, but it feels like there needs to be something to convince one side or the other that they need to do something. Now, my feeling is that with the Confederates walking in with a victory point advantage, they can go squat on some defensible terrain, and it's up to the Union to get them off of it, because they're going to have positive victory points. Again, it's not going to generate Gettysburg, right? The victory point choices for the operational game, first of all, there's no reason for the Confederates to get on map. What they want to do is they want to hide from the Union. Probably avoid the combat completely if they can possibly do it. If they could get off the map, they'd do that, right? But they can't. But beyond that, if they are going to be on the tactical map, they're going to be strategically on the defensive, because they're going to be standing there with a bunch of victory points, which is the same sort of situation you see in the games that have victory point hexes, right? What happens? Well, you end up, whoever gets to Cemetery Hill, Culp's Hill first, wherever the points are sitting, well, the other guy's got to knock them off, or else do a hell of a lot of damage to make up for the points. I mean, you look at something like Thunder at the Crossroads, and it's a significant amount of points. Like, the game is determined by who owns Cemetery Hill, basically, unless it's an absolute blowout in terms of casualties. Which kind of means that it gets an outsized importance. But on the other hand, the fact that, like, the Confederates are going to be under no obligation to attack. Now, if the Confederates show up on the board, as they historically did, in a great enough force all at once, that might be enough of an advantage for them to try to press into the battle. But I've got no idea what the Union is doing, right? They're behind the line. They're not declaring anything about where they're showing up. And in fact, if I look, what is that road? Let's make sure. Crampton's Gap, Fairfield, Gettysburg, and Hanover is the line that hits on the map. Fairfield to Gettysburg, and then somehow to Hanover, and like, I guess it's this loop down here. Anyway, as long as you don't get near that. Okay, well, that's the main road going through Gettysburg here. I probably can't be on Cemetery Hill without being within 2 hexes of that. So Cemetery Hill's here, that's 2 hexes away. So yeah, if I occupy Cemetery Hill, which again, there's no particular reason for me to do so. I can take defensive positions in a lot of other areas, you know, but if anybody moves that far in, they do begin to get detected. I'm going to hold off on the operational movement. My belly's telling me bad things. I don't know quite what they are, but I need to take care of stuff. All right, so that puts us in the operational movement segment. Since the Confederates don't have any, normally you would be rolling initiatives or whatever, but it actually kind of doesn't matter because they don't have any actions in there. But like, my knowledge that they're not doing any operational movement doesn't really affect anything. It is apparent how many units are operationally moving, though. So the fact that they don't have any actions is actually something that would be notable. I'm not sure. So I'm not sure how it's handled because I can't burn anything, so that doesn't become apparent. But the number of chits that came out of the cup is kind of known, and that can give you an idea of how much operational movement the opponent might be doing. I'm just trying. Anyway, getting to another issue. I flipped over all the artillery wagons of units that moved. That's something you do because if you move in the morning, you get penalized for moving in the afternoon. And if you, likewise, well, whatever. That actually covers it. And now we're on the operational movement, which is the march order. There it is. This must be placed by placing their first DAC, and the other one will be nowhere. Yeah, so I'm still going to have to do an activity roll. I'm doing operational movement. The big difference there would be if I was on the tactical map, I'd get better movement than I get on the pikes and secondary roads, but that kind of doesn't impact anything. So all of these are basically choice because they're not in the cup, which means since the Confederates are going to just keep telling the Union, go, go, you know, I get to choose what I'm going to move. Now, I was going to move Greg here, or Merritt here first, but I'm not sure that that's what I want to do anymore. I'm trying to remember the choices that I was making. So I had one where I wanted to get up into this general area. I want to get down here and cover this. And I don't know what else. These are based on the Stuart table. So 5231 Mount Vernon. I know we're redoing what we did. So nothing can come in below here. The next one from there is New Windsor, 5243, which is around here. So I think I'll try to do that. So let's see what Greg does there. So Greg has a 3. He has no bonus points of any kind or anything. I think we just roll. I don't think there's anything funky on here. So we get a 7, a 10. That's going to give us half movement. Now, we are Cav on the ops map with 18 movement points. Cav doesn't pay different movement anywhere. This is outer reaches. So these are like, what, 3-6? No, 4-6. 4-6 for movement. Which means he has a big force. 4, 8, what was our total again? Like 18. 4, 8, 16. Oh no, he only gets half movement, which means he can only go 9 max, which means I can't even spread my force out completely. There. Wow. All right. And I'll continue with my other movements. At some point or another, I have to move 5th Corps, but I kind of want to see what I can do with the Cav first. And we moved Kilpatrick quite a ways, actually. Merritt's having some trouble. He's trying to find decent roads. There's like a trail going through here that's barely visible. The cost for moving through that is just horrible. So I'm heading south. I still have to get through some trail here, but whatever. And getting back, we're at Beaufort, and then I'm going to do 5th Corps. I figure 5th Corps is the last thing I want to do. So the westernmost mountain hexes of South Mountain from Crampton's Gap to 3712. Crampton's Gap is here. 3712 is here. Okay. If I'm within 2 hexes on the outer region or 3 in the inner, and Beaufort definitely is, of this line, he has to announce where he goes. And I believe once you do that, once either side announces the presence of one of its forces on the opponent's side of the starting line. Okay, so conceivably, as long as I don't cross the line, I can continue to move stuff secretly. But, for example, if Merritt crosses here, which he's planning on doing, I'm going to trigger something where players are going to have to announce their movements pretty much everywhere, except behind lines. But as of right now, there's absolutely no requirement to do so. If I don't move Beaufort, I don't have to declare him at all. I'm not entirely sure I want to move him. Like, Fairfield is also a problem, so it's like the only thing I could do with him is kind of fall back. And try to cover stuff there. I'm going to just leave Beaufort where he is, because I can't see doing anything. Now, I could put out a call. There's extended search for Cav. Activated Cav that do not move may call out a Cav search 4 outer or 8 inner. And I can do that. So I can call out a search from, oh, what the hell this is. These are unreadable. This is 3912. So 3912 I'm calling out of space. At this point, I think I've revealed that. Of course, it's part of the initial setup, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to call this out, and we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're nowhere near. So nothing is detected by Buford. Since I chose not to move, that's fine. But now the Confederates do have some idea where the Union is. Of course, if they knew the setup, they would have some idea anyway. That gets me to the final 3 of 5th Corps, and I can choose to do these in any order I like because they're set there. I think I'll take Ayres first because it looks like I got to get him out of the way to do something. Do I have any 5th Corps points? I do. So I'm going to boost Ayres by 1 because his current is 3, 4. 5 means I will not go inactive because I got to roll at least a 1 on each one. So I got a full movement allowance. And that means 12 movement points. 4, 8, and now where? We'll make it out to here, 12. Now these guys are actually moving, and that's 2nd. Damn, these colors are hard to cope with. Like the printing on them is really hard to see. Obviously though, I do have the images. It's just hard for me to sometimes recognize images. And then, now for the next one, I've got to take here. I'll leave Sykes where he is, but Barnes has a +3. We'll spend another. Give him +4. Nine, 12. That's going to give him half movement allowance, which is only 6 points. I could have tried moving along here. If I had a decent number of movement points, I might have to try to get this guy moving. But I only had enough movement points to move 1 hex. I'll move Sykes up here with him. Let's put Sykes here. That gives me modifiers. No, that doesn't help. All right, so I get a modifier on these 2 pieces. That's fine. I think that's the end of the operational movement because the 3rd guy can't go anywhere. He's locked in. Which means we're at the end of the game turn. Okay. I'll be back in a moment because we're going to be worrying about the divisional stuff. That happens somewhere in here, but I'm not sure where. Well, we're definitely not going to have any cohesion to recover because nobody's taken any cohesion hits, so let's not worry about that. Adjust morale is where I assume this is going to happen. It's going to be rest and reorganization. Nothing happens because nobody's in a rest and reorganization final state, right? What's not covered here is that end of turn stuff that's supposed to happen with the orders. That's not covered in here. And that's what we really need to do, right? So we look at, and I guess I'll take care of this at this point because at a cost of, oh no, it's the next order phase. Yeah, so these are all in here. That means I can either next turn leave them where they are, and that allows me to keep moving as I prepare to rest. It's the, hey, spread the forces out so that they have enough room to recover. I don't know. I really don't understand that, but But one command point allows me to put it face down, so it's actually doing R&R. I could also place one to take it out of the R&R thing, because honestly they can't do engagement type activities while they're in that box. So their movement has to be away from the enemy if the enemy's close. But I'm allowed to reposition myself up into here, which is absolutely vital to me. So actually nothing is happening this turn on this. Degradation, that would be points that are left. I don't remember if, like, I know you lose a third, but each core level with remaining has this accumulated total reduced by 1/3. I guess we would go by rounding. Yeah, which means the ones get to keep their point. Army points are lost, though, and Reynolds counts as Army points as a wing commander. And finally, we do weather, 17.2 in the scenario book. I think we're almost there. Okay. The current weather is clear, and no, it's none of these. Current weather is clear, hazy, and it's none of these. So we're just rolling it even, and we get a 13, which doesn't change, so the weather stays where it is in the clear space. And we have slowly made it through an entire turn. I know not a lot has happened. I understand, a frustration with that kind of feeling. I'm feeling it too, but I feel like it's important for me to take the time to learn how the procedures work properly. A lot of them are going to carry over for when we hit the tactical map, which right now is just a place where I keep all kind of papers. What have we gotten? Well, Confederates haven't moved at all, of course. The Union has started slowly making movements, but their main goal is to recover their units. Everything except the Cav and the 5th Corps. 5th Corps I'm going to try to get into place somewhere. But the roadways are really crowded down there. All right, let's send this out. Now, one more thing that I didn't cover, it's not really included in the sequence of play in any sense, is each division in encamped generates 1 victory point, and the Imboden and Jenkins Cav each generate 3. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 15, not 12. Yeah. Okay. So that's 15 victory points for this first turn. Now, if the Confederates stay out the first day entirely, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. What's that like? It's going to be like 200 points. 200 points is a pretty significant hit to the Army morale. I'm having trouble reading this, but there's a 200 over here. it's almost for the Union. I'm sure it's similar situation. 200's over here. It looks to me like the snakes, the way it's designed, which is just weird, but whatever. But yeah, basically, it looks to me like the first sitting one day out of battle is going to give the Confederates enough points to have a 200-point victory, 200-0. Okay. It's obviously just ridiculous. And let's see where victory conditions are. 40. If the number of Army DPs ever exceeds the current, yeah. Compare each side's accumulated victory points. Each side gets victory points equal to the other side's Army demoralization point level. 200 is not an unreasonable amount at the end of 3 days or whatever. It might be higher. And then it's a proportion. So at the end of day 0, as it were, the Confederates are going to have some 200 points in the bank to 0, okay? It's going to be very hard for the Union to overcome that. This is obviously just so bogus. I don't know what I should be doing in comparison, but I got to tell you another thing. Even if it was a smaller number, even if it was one that, looked like a reasonable amount to prevent the Confederates from coming on the board early, give them some kind of reason for not charging on and taking the defensive ground. There's plenty of defensive ground on this map, right? I can find some place to go sit and squat. I am going to have a positive victory advantage. The Union is going to be forced to attack, almost invariably. There's no way that players playing by these victory conditions for the operational game are going to get anything like the appropriate kind of actions on Gettysburg. If you follow anything that even vaguely approaches these. So again, another sign to me that the operational game wasn't really that heavily thought out. That maybe people just played, in the playtesting, just played the tactical game and didn't give a lot. Because it is apparent that, unless I'm misreading something completely, but it's apparent that right away the Confederates are going to win the battle off of doing nothing on the first day, on the 0th day. And B, they're going to, there's nothing that prevents them from accumulating those points for the rest of the battle either, right? So if they go 4 days doing that and put some, instead of 200 points up, put 800 points up, I don't care how hard the Union hits them. The fact that the Confederates are able to sit there. Now, there doesn't seem to be any penalty to, or any restriction preventing the Confederates from just sitting all battle where they are. So, that I don't want to allow. So I'm like, well, I'll make it just the first day. But even just that first day's points are more than the Union can possibly overcome. But as a concept even, let's say we're 1/10 the points. Let's say we're talking 20 points over the course of that first day. The Confederates are walking in with a 20-point advantage. The edge goes to the defender, man. there's no reason for them to attack, right? I mean, in general, you might make an argument that sure, situationally things might be, in a locale, they might make sense for an attack. But you know what wouldn't make sense is the continual charges after that first day going for Cemetery and Culp's Hill. There's just no reason that the Confederates would do that under this system. Is there a reason anyway? I don't know. But we will do what we can do and try to do the actions that I think the game is trying to impose by using these rules and not really pay too much attention. Like, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play it out where, look, the Union is going to try, because there's no real option to do anything on the operational map of any significance. I mean, sure, I could bring a fight out on it, but that doesn't sound pleasant, and I don't think it's particularly useful. And then, and ignore this map, right? Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of, I don't know. There's a lot wrong with this, and this just doesn't link up properly. It doesn't work properly. And honestly, for the amount of maps and rules they put into play to make this work, I think it would have made more sense. Make the game a little bit more expensive, whatever. Just cover the entire area and say, screw it, you have, and come up with some kind of rule that makes it make sense for why the Confederates would want to, keep their supply line and whatever, much like 7 Days did. But yeah, I am relatively disappointed by what I'm seeing in terms of how the operational and tactical link together and what kind of view of the overall campaign this actually gives. I feel like I'm just fiddling around here to try to generate a battle on the Gettysburg map, and then, the victory conditions and whatnot are not going to drive me to fight anything like Gettysburg, perhaps. We'll see where it goes. I don't know how much the victory conditions are going to drive me, and kind of tilting towards just play out whatever sort of develops. Hope for the best.